Hello, welcome to the Eldritch Stronghold. I'm Mitchell, or Guru Yanu, and today we have a deck sesh for you guys. We haven't had a deck sesh for a little over a year. I think the last one was like last Halloween. So today we're doing one over the Creaking Nest. He's quickly became one of my favorite commanders. So let's get into what he actually does. He is a 5 mana, 5/5 legendary creature, or legendary artifact creature, Scarecrow. He has Menace and Reach, and whenever he enters, or whenever you play a card with 2 or more card types, each player creates a tap 2/2 black bird creature token with flying. The tokens are goaded for the rest of the game. Things I really like about him is each player creates a token whenever he enters, or whenever you play something with 2 card types, and there's a lot of things in this game that have 2 card types, and since you can play them, you can also play the handful of lands that have 2 card types. Each player getting a bird is kind of cool. They're all goaded, so they have to all attack, even the ones I create for myself. And since they're all entered tap, there's no one should have birds to block with pretty much, and everybody should just be pecking each other to death with their bird armies. So he really wants you to play things with 2 card types. So there's currently, I think, 9 legal card types in Magic right now, and they are artifact, battle, creature, enchantment, instant, kindred, land, planeswalker, sorcery. Legendary, basic, and snow are super types, not card types, and horror and rooms are subtypes, not card types. So this gives you, and the 2 colors that you have for this deck, and having 9 card types, there's a huge variety of different two card type combinations you can play for this deck. So in this video, we're not going to talk about every card that I have in this deck, but we're going to talk about sections and handfuls of cards that I think are pretty cool with the directions I took this deck. Alrighty, so we'll jump into our first category, which is lands. So there's not a lot of them. We actually only play the 5 of these lands, but they do trigger our commander. The first one is Tree of Tales. Just pretty much just a green land that comes in untapped, but it's an artifact land. The next one is Vault of Whispers, which is the black version of the last card we just talked about. It's just an artifact land, so it will trigger our commander. Third one is Treasure Vault. This one's an artifact land and will trigger your commander, but also has the added bonus of paying XX and tapping it, sacrificing it, and you get that many treasure tokens, so you can pretty much just store mana for later, or use it or turn a bunch of colorless into colors. There's a bunch of uses for that, but pretty much it triggers our commander. Fourth is Urza Saga. This one triggers our commander being an enchantment land, and then it's also, everybody knows this is a pretty good card. Fifth is just the worst one out of all of them, but it is dual colors. It's a Dark Moss Bridge. Enters battlefield tapped. It is indestructible, but that coming in tapped really does hurt a lot. But that's it for the lands. Alright, we're moving on to the next category, enchantments. Enchantment slash whatever. There's a few enchantment slash things, like we got the land, and then we'll talk about another enchantment slash artifact coming up first, but mostly it's just enchantment creatures. So the first card we'll talk about is Whip of Erebos. It's an oldie but a goodie. For 2 colorless and 2 black, all your creatures get lifelink, and then you can pay 2 colorless and 2 black to tap it and return a creature card from your battlefield, and it gains haste, and you gotta exile it. But it's pretty cool. It triggers your commander. Everybody gets a bird. Your birds are now going to have lifelink, which gives you that extra edge. And then being able to whip a character back from the graveyard and just swing with it is pretty good and will matter in this deck. Next card we'll talk about is Springheart Nantuko. It's an enchantment creature. This is one of my new favorite cards. For 2 mana, you get a 1/1 just insect monk, but if you bestow it, the enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and then whenever a land falls, you may pay 2, and then if this is attached to a creature, I create a token that's a copy of that creature, and then And then if I didn't create a token that way, I just create a 1/1 insect token. So either way, I'm paying 2 to get an insect, or I'm paying 2 to get a copy of whatever creature this is attached to, which is crazy powerful. Next enchantment creature we have is Shingeki. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. 2 mana for a 1/3 legendary enchantment creature, Sneak Druid. You can pay 2 and tap it, and you can return this to your hand. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You put a land card from among them to the battlefield tapped, and put the rest in your graveyard, and you can channel this away to return non-legendary cards from your graveyard to your hand. Both sides of this is pretty cool, but what's really powerful about this is the ability to return this to your hand and then replay them, return them to your hand. Obviously can't do it unless he has haste the turn he comes in, but it will let you trigger your commander multiple times. Next one is kind of a way we can close out the games, and this is Demolish or Spawn. It's a newer card that actually came in the Precon. For 5 and 2 green, you get a 7/7 with Trample and Haste, and it has Delirium, and this is the part that can close out the game. If there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard, other attacking creatures you control get +4/+4. So if you have your army of birds, you have this, plus whatever else you have on the field, plus maybe even your commander. This is going to pump them all by 4, and you're swinging big. Last card, but certainly not least, as you can tell by the background, the next one is Overlord of the Haunt Woods. This thing is crazy cool. This is really cool design on a card. 3 colorless and 2 green for 6/5 Avatar Horror. Has Impending 4, which is a new ability. You can pay 3, and you can pretty much put it on the battlefield as a if you cast the spell for the impending cost, it enters with 4 time counters on it. It isn't a creature until the last one is removed, and at the beginning of your end step. So it's kind of like Suspend, but it's an enchantment on the field until all 4 counters are removed, and then it becomes a creature. But whenever it enters or attacks, you create a tap colorless land token named Everywhere. That is every basic land type. Just good, insanely good value with that card. That wraps up the enchantments for this deck. Alright, so we did enchantments, and now we're going to do artifacts. These are pretty much all just artifact creatures, because that's the way I went with this deck is artifact creature, pretty much tribal, I guess. So we'll get into the cards now. First one is a new one. It's Twitching Doll for 2 green. It's a 2/2 spider toy. You can tap it for any one color, and you can put a nest counter on it. And then you can tap it, sacrifice it, and you create a 2/2 green spider creature token with reach for each counter that was on it. So it's pretty cool mana dork. You tap it, and then like turn 10 or whatever, you can sack this thing if it's still around. You can sack this thing and make a bunch of spiders that can block flyers. And the birds that you make for everybody have flying, so these spiders having reach is really cool. Next card we have is Scorb. I really don't know how to say that first word. Even though I play Warhammer, but he's a 2 colorless and a black for a 3/2 Necron Noble. He has Menace, but the most important thing is other artifact creatures I control have +1/+0 and have Menace. Next card is Crypto Thrall. For 4 colorless, you get a 3/3 construct. Other artifact creatures you control have hexproof. Just goes along with the whole artifact creature tribal. Your commander is also an artifact creature, so all of these will benefit him as well. The next card is Cyberman Patrol. I really like these Cyberman cards. This one gives all your artifact creatures flick 3. This is an oldish mechanic. I think it was like maybe War of the Sparks, but I can't remember. Whenever a creature with inflict becomes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. So your commander, all your other artifact creatures deal damage if they become blocked. The last card for the artifact part of this deck is Cyberman Squadron for 7 colorless for a 5/5, but non-legendary artifact creatures you control have Myriad. So all these all these artifact creatures you're seeing, they attack one player, they're going to attack them all, and that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with your commander, but that's okay, because you don't really want to risk your commander dying on an attack anyway. So that will wrap it up for the artifacts. That went kind of fast. Alright, so the next part is dual type interaction. This is pretty much anything that is two different types of cards and is a removal or protection of some sort. So the first card getting into this will be Dialect Drone from the Doctor Who set. It is an artifact creature. For 3 colorless and 2 black, you get a 3/3 Flying Menace. And when it enters the battlefield, you can destroy target creature an opponent controls, and that player loses 3 life. So if anything else, if they don't have anything of theirs to kill, you can just kill a bird and make them lose 3 life, and hey, maybe that could even kill somebody. The next card is a tribal instant or kindred now. Kindred cards are count as a card type in this, so this is an instant elf, and you can destroy target non-elf creature. Pretty simple. Can actually hit a lot of things, but there's also a lot of things it can't hit. Next card is Haywire Might. 1 colorless for a 1/1 insect artifact creature. When it dies, you gain 2 life, and you can pay a green to sacrifice it, and you can exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. So if you're going up against another Rendmaw, this probably won't hit anything of theirs, but it can hit a lot of things that might be annoying you or preventing you from doing what you need to do. Next card is Oko's favorite card, Trickster Elk. 2 colorless and a green for an enchantment creature that has bestow, and then you can when you enchant the creature, it loses all abilities and is a green elk with base power and toughness 3/3. You just bestow this on one of your opponent's creatures and make it a 3/3 and make it lose indestructible or whatever it may have. The last card, and one of my favorite new cards for Eldrazi, is Eldrazi Immunity. For 1 colorless, but it has to be colorless. This is a Kindred instant Eldrazi. Target creature you control gains protection from each color until the end of the turn. This protects a single target, but you can overload it for 5, and it hits all your creatures. I think there's some pretty cool cards in here. I like the fact that Kindred counts as card type, so it makes stuff, tribal stuff like this, work with your commander. That's it for this category. Alright, this next category is supporting themes. This is just something, a few cards I have in the deck that either supports the main theme or just kind of like a secondary theme in the deck. This one I chose tokens, a lot of token generation. Since I'm already making all the birds, even on my side, I figured just making more tokens could help that, and I can overrun the battlefield that way. The only one, I only have one that triggers my commander, and that would be the first one we're talking about, and that is Bitter Blossom. It's a tribal enchantment for fairies. 1 in a black. At the beginning, you lose a life and you get a 1/1 fairy. Just creates tokens every single turn. It's pretty good. Second one is Tendershoot Dryad for 5 mana, 2/2. Every upkeep, even your opponents, you're going to get a 1/1 sapling, and then once you have the Sigmund's Blessing, which is going to happen pretty fast in this deck, saplings you control get +2/+2, so they're going to be 3/3s, which is pretty good. You're making 4 of them a turn cycle in Commander. Next one is From Beyond. 4 mana, it's devoid. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion that you can sack that for mana, so you're ramping and you're also creating tokens. You can pay 2 to sack this or search for an Eldrazi, but I don't think there's another Eldrazi in the deck, so that ability is useless. Next one is Belladros, another one that says each upkeep, so 4 tokens every turn cycle, and you can also pay 10 life, and you can untap all lands you control, and you can only activate that once per turn. The card's just fantastic. Last card we have in this is Creekwood Liege, 4 mana, 2/2. All your black and green creatures get +1/+1. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, you can make a green and black worm token, which would be a 3/3 when Creekwood is out there. And this will also buff all your tokens, your birds, your saplings, not your Eldrazi, sadly, but your fairies, all that. And yeah, so that's it for the supporting themes. Now for the last category, We have last minute mentions. This is where I just put cool interactions or other like just win condition or ways to close out the game here. So the first one we will talk about is Beastmaster Ascension. This is an oldie but a goodie again. 2 colorless and a green. Whenever you control attacks, you put a quest counter on it. As long as it has 7 quest counters, all your creatures get +5/+5. You're making a lot of birds on your side. They have to attack because they're goaded. So you're gonna fill this enchantment up pretty fast, and a 5/5 buff is nothing to laugh at. The next card is Massacre Worm. This is another way to close out the game. You're giving your opponents 10, 12, 15 birds the whole game as long as they're all still around. You play this this puppy right here, and they could be losing 30 life easy. The next card is Biotransference. For 2 colorless and 2 black, creatures you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. And whenever you cast an artifact spell, you lose 1 life and create a 2/2 black Necron Warrior creature token. I believe the way this will work in this deck is all your creatures are now artifact creatures, so they're going to get buffs from all the other tribal stuff we talked about earlier, and they're going to trigger your commander. And then whenever you cast one of them, you're going to get a 2/2 Necron, and that follows on with the token theme we have as well. Next card I'm really excited to talk about because I think this is a cool card in this deck. Pygmy Kavu, 3 colorless and a green. For a 1/2, but when it comes into play, you draw a card for each black creature your opponent controls. You're going to give them a bunch of birds. This could draw you a lot of cards for sure. Last card we will talk about for this deck tech is Primal Vigor. It doubles token creation and doubles counters, but what's special about this one is it's any tokens that are created. So it's not just the ones you create for yourself, but it's the ones your opponents create as well. So you creating the birds for your opponents is going to double this, so this is just going to make the entire deck twice as fast. Yeah, so that's it for this deck. Hope you guys like Rendmaw. I think he's a really neat commander. Just the way he looked drew me to him, so I was like, I gotta build this dude. He's a scarecrow. He makes tokens. There's a lot of stuff to unwrap in this dude, and if you decide to play this deck and you build a version of this, let me know. If you would like, I am working right now to get all my decks on Moxfield, at least the ones that I do have in person. So once I get that up, I will try to put a link in the description. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Goodbye.